Joining us now, he is a good friend of the show, of course, the head coach at Oklahoma State, one of the best top coaches in the sport, as well as, of course, former national champion, college baseball great at Oklahoma, but, of course, head coach of Oklahoma State. And speaking of Kenny Gajewski, joins us once here on In the Circle. Coach, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Eric. Thanks for having me, man. I always like to be on this show, and the good part about being on is the season is right around the corner.
It is. Oh, yes. Usually when we talk, is the
Yep.
season's right around the corner, and it's always exciting. What's it like? We've talked over the years about the expectations, and every year it just seems to grow with your program. I mean, last year another trip to the World Series. You won a Big 12 tournament championship. Finished as the top three, one of the last three teams standing in the Oklahoma City. What's it like when you come into the fall now? Everybody knows the expectations.
It's business as usual. We're just trying to get better. We had a great year. It's taken a while to be able to say that because it really hurt when the season was done. It really when it's in your sights, it's in your grasp, it hurts. And I there's no way I can deny that. There's no way I can bounce around that. So we just right back, to work. I've obviously got a few changes, new staff, new players. That's not unlike any year. We've always got new players that are coming in. So and then just trying to figure out where we fell short, why, and then get better at those things. And so that's been the main focus as we started the fall.
When you reflected on how last season, again, amazing year, but you mentioned how it ended. What now comes to your mind? And I would imagine is that motivation for the returners that kind of like we were that close to playing for the national championship.
I think for the kids that returned, that were returning here, the kids that were, already signed a national letter of intent. I think they were living on the seat on every pitch, so they felt like they were there. But for us, it's not any more motivation. If anything, it's just making sure that we're really our attention to detail is as perfect as it can be. I think that's probably the most important thing. I kind of went back to the drawing board personally. I wanted to clean up some things that I feel like I kind of let slide, or maybe that I've kind of as we've become better, and we've got better athletes, you got to learn how to coach them. And it's not easy. And the one thing I've gone back to is just keeping our attention to detail, and then in my messaging each day being extremely clear.
I can't help but to ask you, like, I thought of you and Tim the other day. I think you two were presenting in the NFCA convention, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking we're almost getting to that 30-year anniversary of that national championship
Yeah.
for the baseball season. I mean, I don't know if you guys have any anniversary plans or how that works, but like, you're one of the few people, and I've asked Tim the same thing. You're one of the few people that could say you've been to Omaha at the biggest stage playing for the national title. Now, as a coach, you've been in the biggest stage in Oklahoma City in the Women's College World Series. What's that like to have been a part of those experiences?
Well, a college baseball guy, it's the pinnacle for college. So to get there, to be able to dogpile there, it's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing accomplishment. However, the best thing that came out of that is my friendships. Purely, I got a Facebook messenger message here today from our second baseman, Ricky Gutierrez, who was one of the best guys I've ever been around, one of the best players I've ever watched play. What was a West Coast guy like me and Tim, started in the junior college route like me and Tim, transferred to OU like me and Tim. And we won that national title. And now he's moved his family entirely back to Oklahoma. He's a diehard Sooner fan for sure. I'm not trying to take anything away from that, but he is a big time Kenny fan and an OSU softball fan. And he sent me a message here today, just said, "Hey buddy, I'm just wishing you guys the very best. I can't wait to follow you this year. Looking forward to seeing you soon. That's what I have. And that's all I could care about. If we had fell short in that final game, it wouldn't have changed anything. I'd still have these relationships with these guys that are just so impactful in my life. And it's really why we play sports.
Yeah, it's exciting, and I'm seeing that too with what you've built there at Oklahoma City with former players getting to Oklahoma City. The fan base is growing there. Do you, take us through this explosion of the softball interest? You've been a part of college baseball, but I don't know if baseball was as popular then as softball is currently right now, and the explosion of interest.
Yeah, I truly believe that we are part of the best sport that the NCAA has to offer, to be honest. If you take the financial side of this thing out there, I just don't understand. You'd have to really convince me that there's a better sport out there, and why. We still have the purity of the game. We still have the girls this is the kind of the end of the road for the most part. So we still have that. We still have the tears are real. I mean, it's real. And a lot of teams are going to be crying at the very end. It's what should happen when you're all in and when you're all one. And when everything that you do, for us, it's the cowgirl way. And that's being relentless, being excellent, and being passionate. And that's what we define the cowgirl way. So that's what we're focused on. That's what we've got. And it's just an exciting time. I mean, this is, I don't think I'd rather be coaching any sport. The popularity, what's going on. I think that NIL is, it's got a chance to ruin things in a lot of other sports. I think for us, keep telling our kids, just keep doing things right. And the fan base is going to do what they've done. They're going to follow you and be packed out here because it's what they dreamed about. It's the pureness of that, and it's what makes it really cool.
A lot of people feel that you've got the best pitcher in the country on your roster, and Kelly Maxwell, that many people enjoy watching last year, and what a year she had last year. Heck, we had Megan Bartlett on, who's now the Arizona State head coach. She said there was no better pitcher they saw all year than Kelly Maxwell, and she's not looking forward to seeing her potentially again later this year. Talk about her growth and development, because a year ago at this time, people kind of knew about her, but it was kind of under the radar. Now everybody knows about her. What was your impression on her?
Well, she had a great fall. Obviously, had a great season. 2 in a row. The most exciting thing that Kelly told me about a month ago is that she's going to take her 6th year, which is makes me feel really good. So we get her for this season and next. The thing about Kelly is Kelly, the normal person can relate to her. It hasn't been all roses here. There's been some hard times, some struggle in the circle. No pun intended, Eric. But it's the ultimate story of perseverance, vulnerability, relentless work ethic, just trying to get better. And this fall she came in, she walked in, and I'll just say this, like, she looked stronger, and I was like, Kelly, you look really good. She's like, I'm gonna try to go like this. I put on a little bit of extra weight, some muscles, some strength. Still looks amazing. But you could tell, like, once the season ended and she got a break and then had the national team success that she had when she got a chance to play there, I think it's like fueling the fire, keeping the gas tank full. And I'm just really, really impressed with what she's done. And most importantly, how she represents our program on a day-to-day basis here, how she is a great teammate, how she's created this, I call it a cult amongst their pitching staff. Our pitching coach, John, says it's a family, but I say, I don't know. It looks like a cult. But they treat everybody with respect. Kelly treats every one of those pitchers with respect. And the way they look up to her tells you everything that you need to know about her.
Of course, You mentioned Kelly and the pitching staff. You've got a new face there in Lexi Kilfoyle. How has she looked? And then tell us a little bit more about the rest of the arms you've got.
Well, Lexi Kilfoyle joined us from Alabama. Everyone knows she had hip labrum surgery at the end of last year, pitched with that. I don't know how long last year. But Lexi is physically fit. She's physically healthy. She looks very mentally strong, emotionally strong. Seems like she's having a blast here. Our team took her in immediately. She's had a tremendous fall. And John and her, having this experience to have the fall, like last year, we got Ellish and we were kind of learning on the fly. And then once they got it dialed in, it was pretty dang good. Well, Lexi's dialed in. She's looking really, really good, swinging the bat as well. So she'll get some at bats for us too. Ivy Rosenberry, the transfer from Virginia Tech, hasn't got a ton of time there. I mean, Pete's obviously got some great arms there. She joined us. She's got some Oklahoma ties and roots, so it's a natural fit for her. Wow is what I can say about her. Wow. Hard to throw her down ball. I don't know what it's going to look like when we start getting in to games yet. We'll see, but I'm not worried. I'm excited. John's got the touch. Her stuff is electric. I think she's going to be really good. And then our fourth one at this point in time, or our fourth arm, I wouldn't call it 3 or 4, whatever, but our freshman Kyra Acock from Georgia. Man, when you have kids that come in, you just don't know, you never know how it's going to be once they get here. And Kyra, she was a kid I was a little bit worried about. She's a little bit of an introvert. And day by day, she's turning into a woman here. She's a big, strong kid, 6'1" tall, strong. Her body's already transformed here. It's crazy. I just so proud of her. And she looks like she's never missed home. I'm sure there's been some tough days, but she doesn't look like she's ever had one bad day. She's been hell on our hitters. Our hitters will tell you that she's as tough to hit against as any of our arms. It's kind of it's effectively wild. It kind of comes out of nowhere. Like it's just, there's a lot of arms and legs and limbs flying, and then the ball's just out and it's like a rocket. So, feel really good. And then we've seen tremendous improvement out of Bailey Runner, who just is a homegrown kid that just continues to grow. So Eric, I would just tell you this, like, I feel like this is one of the best staffs in the country. Yeah, I think it's for sure 4 deep, maybe 5 deep. And we're going to have them all. I'm excited. I'm really excited. This is by far the best staff that we've ever had here.
That's strong. That's bold, considering you've had good staffs here
Yeah.
and run, and that's a big, bold statement, but exciting for Cowgirl fans to think about. And offensively, you lose some leaders from last year's team, the players that have been there for a while, but you return some other great players, like Kylie Naomi, for example. You return Cheyenne Factor, Caitlin returns. Just talk about the offense and your outlook for them this year.
Yeah, I'm really excited. We've got a whole new offensive philosophy here. Well, we actually have a philosophy here now that we just really haven't really had one that we could hang our hats on and go back to the drawing board and go back to these foundational pieces. We just haven't had that. And that's why I felt like it was just time to move in a different direction. And so we made that move, and our kids are very clear about what the expectations are. They're very clear about the work, the mentality that I see in our kids is phenomenal. So with that, you bring back a Kylie, a Shy Factor, Caitlin, who just had an amazing breakout year this last year. Taylor Tuck has had a great fall behind home plate. And then you start throwing in some of these new kids, the Megan Bloodworths, the Rachel Becker. Those are two that come to mind very, very fast. Don't sleep on Michaela Work. She is a right-handed hitting machine. She's a transfer from KU. She's got 4 years of eligibility here. And I anticipate her having some major at-bats. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how Morgan Wynn can bounce back after an All-American year the year before she got here, and then just didn't perform the way she wanted to this past year. Just in a new spot. So she's had a great summer, great fall, looks amazing, got in a great headspace. Really like what we've got there. And then I've got a couple of freshmen who I've got one for sure that will be in the lineup with Michaela Work. And then Talon Edwards and Katie Lott are two that are really fighting for left field. Talon may be ahead of her now. Talon probably had the best fall of anyone here. And she's a young lady who should be a senior in high school right now. Graduated early, had some unfortunate circumstances last year. Her father passed away from COVID. We've had a very close relationship since the recruiting process had started. And we just kind of talked about it as a family. And it was a no at first. And then about a week and a half or 2 weeks after, it became how can we make this happen? And, so that's probably another story for another day that I'd love to tell. But she is for real. She can play multiple spots. I've got too many good infielders right now to disrupt that. So we'll play her in left field to start with. She's fighting to keep that job. And she can play center if Shy needed help or a break, or she could play there. She could play infield. She could catch. She could do anything. Most of all, she's a tough kid, and we need tough here.
That's huge. You feel you have the versatility that you like from a roster standpoint? It sounds like you have the versatility that you like.
We have really good depth. Our depth is probably better than last year. The only thing that we lack here, we're not a fast team. We have a couple kids that can run, but we're not like 5 or 6 that are just like burners. Like Kylie can really go. We know that. Becker can run well. So we have some kids like that can run. Talon runs well. But we're not like this blazing team. But we have a lot of really good things. I mean, Becker is for real. I don't even know if I mentioned her in that previous group. This is an All-American that's hit well over 400 the last 2 years. And, we'll move her to second base. And she's an animal. She's just so fun to coach, so fun to be around, so smart, so mature. And she's going to bring in a level of toughness that we've got to have here. And so excited about her, but definitely have depth. Definitely have, the things that we need to win a championship. The only thing that we don't have is having a Sydney Pennington with 4 years of postseason experience. Rachel Becker, I don't think has ever played in a postseason game at Purdue.
Right.
So that's going to be new to her when that happens. So, I don't think it'll phase her, but who knows, right? It's just all new. So we lack a little bit of that postseason experience, but I also know that the teams that don't know what's at stake at times can really advance, right? They just get out there and just play softball. So experience is important, but I think for my team, I'll spin it the other way, right? Because it's all about how you can spin this to your team and get them motivated and understand it's still the game you played when you were 8 years old and didn't care about anything. You just played. So if we do that, we have a chance to be really good.
You've said in the past, like a Sydney Pennington, even I guess Kylie Naomi are the ones that help kind of when the new faces come in, know what the culture is like. Kind of say, hey, this is how it works over here. Is Kylie that person? Is there others that kind of you depend on for that as far as leadership in that concern, as far as kind of helping blend in the new faces?
Yeah, that's a good one. Kylie's been really good. She's I don't have anybody that's like crazy outspoken, but I have people that will speak when they need to. Shy factor is probably the quiet leader. She's kind of grandma. It's who everybody goes to if they need something. If they need to know how to approach Coach G, right? Go ask Shy. Like, and I don't know why it's so hard. I'm the same guy that recruited them, but once they get here and they see head coach on your door, it just becomes a little bit tough again, until they learn all that stuff. But I look at Kylie and Shy and Carwile and Tuck. Scotland David is a kid who's been here now for, this is her third or fourth year. She hasn't played a full season yet. She's had 3 knee surgeries. I mean, it's been injury after injury, but her mentality and her leadership in this program is something that I value and cherish. And she's going to eventually get on our field. But she's part of that leadership group too.
Let's talk. You mentioned your staff. It's worth pointing out you got Whitney Clore now full time on your staff. You got Vanessa Shippey Fletcher as a volunteer. You mentioned earlier John Barfield. For those that don't know, is your pitching coach. Talk about your staff, and particularly the offense. You mentioned about your offense and kind of how you get involved on the offense. Do you let other, like, how do you kind of your philosophy as far as handling the staff?
The philosophy is not mine, it's Whitney's. Okay. And she's the hitting coach. And she's gonna make a lot of decisions, but at the end, I'll make that final call. You know what I mean? So it'll be on me. But she's a relentless worker, a lot of intentional work, kind of a no nonsense approach, a little bit different than me. I'm kind of I wouldn't call it loose, but happy go lucky. I like good energy. So it's been an adjusting to her style, but her style is rubbing off on our hitters. And one thing that we've lacked here is toughness. And she's creating toughness here. And it just fires me up to watch them work. It's been hard, it's been a grind. It's an everyday event, like we got to work each day and it's just part of it. So it's starting to really take shape. I'm really excited. We're going to get tested right out of the gate. We're going to play 9 games, our first 9 games. I don't know that there's not a regional team in that mix. It's wild. So we're really excited about that. And we'll see right where we stand. We won't have any false hope, false feelings of who we are. We're going to know after 9 games what we got to do to get better. And that's why I like to play this schedule. But Whitney's been great. Vanessa's been amazing. We also got to hire a director of player development job or position. And we hired a lady named Katie Norris, who's a Stillwater native, but played at OU for Patty. So understands what a championship mindset looks like. And so I'm all about trying to add pieces and things that we can do to get better here. And our girls have the tools. It's just the choices that they make each day to make it happen.
You mentioned your schedule. You start out in Mexico at the Puerto Vallarta tournament. You're going to open it with Oregon. That's a marquee game right off the bat. You got North Carolina, Maryland, the job Coach Montgomery's done there building that program. Ole Miss, NCAA tournament team. You go to Clearwater after that for the big ESPN tournament where you got A&M, Nebraska, who you just saw in the postseason. You mentioned Virginia Tech. You'll get to see them. You get to see Jerry Glasgow's Louisiana team. You got Michigan. You see Nebraska again in Las Cruces. You and Coach Ravel becoming best pals. Well, all the times you're going to play each other here. I'm not even mentioning the fact you host Missouri later in the season. You've got South Dakota State, which is an NCAA tournament team. You got Florida State, who comes to your building for a 3-game series, returning the favor after you went there recent years there. You're hosting Arizona State and UCF, who's going to be a future Big 12 foe of yours. Just you're non-conference. You said it. You play anybody anywhere. North Texas, who you're familiar with, you've hosting as well. Just talk about that non-conference schedule this year.
I mean, it's the same schedule we've tried to put together each year. It hasn't changed. I hate it right about now. When I stare at it, I hate it. I'm pissed at myself that I let it happen. But I know that for us to be successful the first week of June, that's the schedule that we've got to play. We've never chased wins here. I'm not chasing wins. I'm not doing that. If we're not good enough to be in the postseason, then we'll know that. But I'm not going to chase wins to try to keep every year of going to postseason here. I'm going to try to. We're trying to win a championship. Period. And so we're going to play a schedule that prepares us to do that. And we feel pretty good about it. You know, things change as the season goes, but hopefully everybody that we're playing is healthy. We get a chance to play them, and I'm excited. I'm just really excited about. I'm excited for our fans that travel and come here and watch us play at home. I'm excited about what they'll get to watch.
Well, and you've said in the past when you've been on about the tough schedule, kind of you know there's going to be peaks and valleys, but as long as you're peaking at the end and it gets you ready and battle tested. And I think of that Big 12 championship game you had against Oklahoma, a classic that you win that Big 12 trophy, you win the title, it sets you up for a great run in the postseason. That's what it's all about, right? Is that's why you schedule the way you do in the non-conference to get you ready to get battle tested in a league that I know in talking to the other people in the league, I mean, there was a lot of pride within the league about the last three teams standing were all from the Big 12.
Yeah, I think it says a lot about the commitment to softball that our conference has made. We're not the only one. I mean, the SEC is all in, but I don't think that there's another conference like ours besides the SEC, and the ACC is starting to really go. We need the pack to really keep investing. We need the Big Ten to keep investing in their facilities and coaches and budgets so that they can travel early and make sure that all that stuff is good for all them. But what the Big 12 has done, it's pretty cool. And we look at OU's. That's all we look at here at OSU. I mean, that's who we compare ourselves to. Anytime you think you've got things rolling pretty good, just take a look down the road and you just put your head right back down and you just go to work. You can't think you're there. If you do, you will get slapped and punched and you won't get up. And so I love the fact that OU is right here. I mean, don't get me wrong. I hate it at times. I wish it was easier, but it being easier is not going to help us. So having the best team in the country, the best program in the country right here has made it really cool.
Well, and it's become a marquee matchup that softball fans love watching. I mean, every time you've played, it's drawn monster TV numbers. The Big 12 championship game was the most watched Big 12 championship game. The regular season matchup that was on ESPN was the most watched among the most watched games of the year. I mean, you've got to take some pride that you've helped turn that matchup. It's arguably maybe the premier game that people circle now every year as softball fans. Every time Oklahoma and Oklahoma State play, either in the regular season or in the postseason.
Well, I mean, that's a credit to what they've done. We're just trying to kick the shins of Goliath every day. That's all we're trying to do. Just keep telling our kids, just keep kicking their shins. They'll break at some point, right? So that's the way we go about it. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Patty and her staff, what Jen and JT do with those kids. I have a tremendous amount of respect for those kids. I really enjoy seeing them outside of softball. I don't necessarily enjoy seeing them during softball, but I do, if I see them in an airport or I see them somewhere, they're great people. I really, the way that they conduct themselves, I got no problems with it. But they are the team that we compare ourselves to. And so I'm glad that we're a part of it. I'm glad that we're doing our part to make it great. That's what I told Patty when I got here. I just told her, I said, we're going to do our part in this conference. We're going to play a great schedule for the RPI. We're going to work to get you better, and you're going to help us get better as well. And I think there's a respect there. I mean, we're not like great friends or anything, but I don't really think we're enemies. I don't know. Is what it is. Just competing, right? So there's a tremendous amount of respect from both sides, I think.
Well, and next year obviously you got UCF's coming into the Big 12, BYU, Houston's coming into the Big 12. You're going to host UCF this year. They were a team that could have easily been to the World Series if they didn't run into Oklahoma. in the super regionals. How much does that any adjustments you have to make from a program standpoint with the league looking as different as it is? It's going to be bigger. So is there is there some subtle adjustments you have to make, whether it be scheduling, whether it's travel, any adjustments you have to make next in this transition for the league?
It's a good question. I mean, as of right now, next year, we're going to add, BYU, UCF, and Houston. And we're still going to have OU in Texas at this point. So unless something changes there. I mean, the number 2 RPI league, which we've had for a lot of years now, is going to make a run at the number 1 for at least a year, right? I mean, this is going to be a really good softball league. I'm excited. I don't have an answer to your question yet. It's something that we've talked about internally here a little bit, but we'll kind of see how the season goes and watch how these programs are and what they do. We're going to keep a closer eye on BYU, UCF, and Houston. We haven't kept as close of an eye unless we were going to play them or we matched up in the postseason. So we'll just kind of see how that stuff goes. It's gonna what it's really gonna do, Eric. It's gonna change our scheduling in the fact that we're not gonna have a bye week anymore, and we're gonna have 2 extra league weekends. So now there's 3 more weekends of conference play. So that eliminates at least 1 tournament that we host here. So that'll eliminate that because we need to go south and east, and maybe west. I think we're going to go west next year, and then back to Clearwater, and then figure out that 3rd one, and then just figure out where it goes. So I don't want to look too far ahead. I'm kind of immersed in this journey, and I don't want to look outside of it. It's just, if you take your mind off things, you lose stuff fast.
Sure. Now, another thing that's going to affect you this soft season is the new NCAA just recently passed, the volunteer coach position. It's going to become a full-time now coach position.
Yeah.
You have Vanessa there as a volunteer. What's your reaction to that passing? I know it's been talked about for years for both softball and baseball in particular, but now it's finally going to pass, and you're going to have now an extra full-time assistant as an option for most staffs. Your reaction to that?
Well, I like it in ways, and I don't like some of it. I like the fact that we're going to get that 4th spot to be able to recruit and do things that spot hasn't done. It's crazy to me that you're going to tell somebody that, okay, this is the way it is. You set up, you signed up to be the volunteer, but you can't recruit and you can't do all this other stuff. That makes no sense. So we really haven't gained anything as far as bodies go. We have the ability to pay that 4th spot or figure out better ways to help them earn money. But the biggest thing is the recruiting. We're going to be able to have more people out, but not everybody's going to be able to afford that. Not everybody's going to be able to afford the recruiting piece. And so it's going to be still, the Power 5 group for the most part is the group that's going to benefit. I like it because it creates more full-time jobs. It may keep more of these women that are playing our game. It may keep them in because they know there is more opportunity. So that's a bonus in my mind. But there's still a lot to shake out here. It's going to be interesting. I think everyone thinks that all these schools are just going to start paying a 4th coach. And frankly, I don't think that's going to happen. It may happen in the SEC. That for sure in that conference, I could see a lot of things going on, but I don't think that every Big 12 school, Pac-12, ACC, Big 10. I've spoken to many coaches who have already said that their ADs have come out and said, we're not funding the 4th spot. And these are Power 5 schools. You can have that spot and they can do all that stuff. But right now, as we stand, we're not going to fund that spot. So, but we do have it. And so for each school, that'll be in their cards with their AD and their school. But I like it. I really wish that we'd have gone to a 5, to be very honest. So that way you have still have that spot. And but it is what it is. It's better. Think that we're going to have a lot more change before it's all said and done.
You're not the first coach that has brought up the number 5 on there. Expand on that a little bit, because you're not the first to have brought that up. Now, we got to get through 4 first, right? I think that's the first step, and then maybe down the road, 5 becomes an option. But a fifth a coach. So talk about that dynamic and why you think 5 would be even a big upgrade there as well.
Well, I think you could, as a school, you could strategically figure out a way. It's still money. There's still a bottom line for every school. But if you had a way to have the 5, then you could make that. Let's say that your school said that you're going to fund all 5. Well, your top 3 are your top 3, and then maybe number 4 is a little lower, and number 5 is even less. At least they have an income that they know they can count on. They can still make money in different ways. Maybe it's even an on-campus job now. You could figure some things out. Who knows? So 5 was thrown around. We kind of were told we thought it may go to 5. Baseball did as well. I heard that basketball got another coach, 6 coaches, and I'm like, they have 14 scholarships.
Right.
I mean, they carry a roster of 14, 6 coaches. I know that there are a few schools out there who actually make money in men's hoops, but it's not as many as people think. And to add another coach in basketball, I was just like, that's interesting. So, I think, like, you look at a baseball team, carrying 40 guys with 4 coaches, that's 10 to 1. That's a lot. We're at 4 coaches with rosters in anywhere from 20 to 25. Pretty good ratio there. So I'm good with 4. I'd be great with 5. I don't really care what the rules are, Eric. Just tell me what those are, and we'll just play by those rules. Somebody told me one time, hey, if you want to make change, then get on the committee and make change. And I'm like, screw that, man. I don't want to be on any more committees or anything else. Like, it's already hard enough, so I'll just play with what the rules are. So
probably a good approach there, but it is funny that we're having a hard time pushing for 4 for softball here and baseball, and meanwhile other sports, as you mentioned, they have a ton of assistants. I mean, for a roster that's smaller than softball or baseball have. So it's kind of interesting that some schools may not be in favor of that when they're doing that for other sports. But that's a whole other topic for other people to deal with, not us. Let me let you go on this. As you get going on your season, what are a couple keys for this particular team to accomplish its potential and its goals you all have?
Just be present where your feet are every single day. To live the Cowgirl way, which is relentless excellence and passion. And if we do that, this team can do anything that this team wants. And they've told me that they want to win the final game. I don't think that that's a reach. They're gonna have to go and play. They're gonna have to handle the ups and downs that a season brings. But it's in their hands. It's their team. It's our program. I can't wait. I'm excited, and I think these guys are as well.
Well, we look forward to seeing your team get on the field, Coach, as I know many fans are. Thanks again for taking the time. I know it's a busy time that you take the time to talk to us. Look forward to seeing you when you get down to Florida during the season there, Coach, and we'll catch up some more then. But in the meantime, thanks for talking to us.
All right, Eric. Have a great day, man.